Building is one of my favourite things to do in Minecraft, so here are a ton of build ideas that you can use in your Minecraft worlds. And I'm in my creative test world to begin with, but later on in the video we'll be exploring my almost 3-year-old Minecraft hardcore world, which contains loads more build ideas. For the first build idea, I actually just recommend detailing some plains biomes or a forest biome with things like this. So add in some moss on the ground, add moss carpets on top, maybe just mix in some azalea plants as well as the flowering azalea plants for really cool flowers on top. Then underneath some of the carpets you can add ender chests to get these really cool purple particles, sort of to create the design of an enchanted forest or something like that. But if you build more in desert biomes, I recommend detailing the area out with some sandstone blocks just to help sort of add smoother variance for the sand, but also add in some upside down sandstone stairs for a more cobbled texture, as the top of a regular bit of sandstone just looks quite flat, but the upside down texture of a sandstone stair looks really cobbly, and honestly it's a really cool design, which I really wish we could just have as a full block rather than just a stair. Here are some cool crate designs you can add to your world, I've got some of the alive corals here. Simply just add some water underneath and place them on top and they'll never die out, so they can look like some sort of berries or fruit or something, similar to the Neverwart and warp blocks. I think they could look quite good as that sort of thing. Then you could do honey as well. I think this looks really nice. Could definitely work in sort of your apiary or bee builds. And you could do honey blocks as well. And what I like to do is add some shroom light below to have a little bit of light. And then you could also use some raw ore blocks, which serve different purposes. They could just be for your mining area, you've collected all these ores. But if you use your imagination a little bit, I guess they do sort of look like barrels of fish or something. This one especially looks like sort of like a crate of cod or something. I think that'd be quite a cool detail to add into a fishing area. Similarly, you could use these copper grates, which I think look a lot like sort of copper crates you could add animals into or something like that. I think these would look really good, like a dock area once again. And as with there's 4 variants of copper, we have loads of different colours we can choose from. And here's quite a fun build idea as well. You're actually able to trap an axolotl inside of a copper grate. And whilst it does seem a bit cruel, it's actually really simple to set up. All you need to do is place 2 grates, waterlog the top block, place a bucket of axolotl in the bottom block, replace that one with any block of your choice. For this one I just did barrier blocks, but you can use dark oak. And they actually cannot escape even if it's just like that. And then you can also just wall it off if you really wanted to. So there you have just a really simple fish tank design. And I believe this does work for tropical fish and tadpoles as well. But the axolotl one does look pretty cool, though you can't really see much of his face right now. Lanterns are one of the greatest blocks to build with in Minecraft, and you can actually place them on loads of different blocks. For example, I've got some designs here with the copper lightning rods. I think that looks really nice. As just a really cool torch design, and then you can also place them on chains as well, which could look good around a castle or something. And then here's some different designs you can add to your pond areas. Obviously, you can add the new firefly bushes around to help add more ambience. And if you place a firefly underground, it will generate these firefly particles during the day, which is a pretty cool detail. And then using some different glass panes, such as green or lime, you can create the look of cattails, and here are some different designs you can go for. You could use a brown stained piece of glass, a green candle, a brown candle, or a sea pickle, all of which I think look really nice. Here's a cool pool table design, simply using signs underneath carpet blocks, and you could just add in some wall blocks for more variation. And I decided to use some candles as balls. You can also use buttons, I guess, as well. But I think this is quite a nice design, using trapdoors sort of on the side to frame it off as well. And here's a cool boxing ring design. Simply just have some black concrete, or any colour really, and then rods going each side, act as sort of the barrier or the ropes. And you can add a bell for more detail. And then I just added banners along the side to help add more colour. I mean, I guess if you're building, then again you could do it in creative or survival. You can use some armoured stands. Obviously, to obtain the different player heads you need commands, but then you can create some really cool custom bits of armor. Speaking of pretty cool designs, this is simply just a basketball net design. I think this looks really nice, just using some pale wood fences, although you could use any wood, I guess. And I've got some more pale wood, pale planks, and then you've got a cobweb, which acts as sort of a net you can chuck items through, although it is quite hard to get up to. You can't really jump all the way up and throw a basketball in. Although I guess you could use wind charges and then make a game of trying to land yourself in the net. I think that could be a quite cool idea. Although you may need to change the design slightly to be taller or shorter. But yeah, I think maybe wind charges would work really well with that. And as I'm flying to showcase some more designs, what does that sign say? I can't really read it from the back. Oh, it says subscribe. Make sure to subscribe, as I want to see how many subscribers I can be on at the end of the year. Also, thanks for all the recent support. I really do appreciate it. Anyway, stupid segues aside, here are some cool custom tree designs you can use. I use these all throughout my hardcore world. We've got the simple oak ones with oak fences, oak leaves, sometimes sprinkling in some acacia leaves for added detail. Just some simple birch trees, birch fences, and birch leaves. One of my favourite tree designs actually, which is just andesite walls with azalea leaves. I really like the look of that. And you can do birch fences and cherry leaves as well for these really cool cherry trees. And then recently I've designed some newer ones, which are slightly taller than the oak and birch ones, which are simply spruce fences, but this time with dark oak leaves, as I use a resource pack designed by Whip, which slightly changes the texture of dark oak leaves to be a little bit darker than oak leaves, as for some reason in base Minecraft they're the exact same texture and colour, which doesn't really make any sense. And although this is a slight spoiler for one of my next videos, here's what all of these trees look like. I actually really like the designs. I've got a different design here as well, with mud brick and mangrove leaves. I think that one looks really nice. But then also, if you're sort of building a more mountainous area, what I would recommend doing is, as you get further up, change the style of trees. For example, over here I've got these custom spruce trees, simply using spruce fences and spruce leaves. Although I guess you could just bone meal the trees using the saplings if you're not too competent at creating custom trees. As well as this, if you're building in the mountains, one thing I definitely recommend doing is transitioning the different types of flowers. For example, the lower areas of my hardcore world, or just my worlds in general, have dandelions, especially in the plains biome. That's sort of the flower I like to build with most. But as the area gets higher up, I sort of change the design. For example, I've gone with cornflowers over here, as this build is actually in the meadow biome. So now it has cornflowers higher up. I think that's just a quite nice detail to add in. As well as this, you could just add in some simple boulders with like different stones, buttons, pressure plates. And I also recommend sometimes just sprinkling in different details. For example, I've got little patches of berry bushes, although they're quite hidden. But if we fly around here, little patch of berry bushes there. Or there's another one right here. And you can also do the same thing for like ferns. Like I've got a little patch of ferns around here. Not everywhere so it looks spammy, just in little patches. I think that works really nice. Like I've got some more ferns there, because they do work really well in the plains. And then I guess you can use bushes for that sort of same detail. Here's another look at one of the more mountainous areas of my hardcore world, which I'm currently in creative planning for to sort of expand. This is more of a forest biome, so I've gone with poppies. And once again, as it scales up the mountain, I've changed the type of flower to be oxeye daisies. Then also in the sides of the hills, I've got rid of the normal looking grey stone and mixed in some dripstone, granite and rooted dirt to just help break up the textures and add in sort of a nicer colour to the area. And then also here's another custom tree design, this time using dark oak fences, spruce leaves, as well as a few birch leaves, just to add slight variation to like a spruce forest area. But this overall area is actually one of my other build ideas, which is simply just to take parts of your Minecraft world. Like I'd recommend using like the Light Matica mod, which is what I used to copy these over from my hardcore world, so you can just rebuild these areas and just improve them. I think it's just much easier to do in creative. Like I've flattened out a lot of this area, I've added in big boulders, which I definitely plan on adding into my hardcore world at some point in the near future. Speaking of my Minecraft hardcore world, here we are now inside of this hardcore world to showcase some more build ideas, currently now on day 2543. And if you've watched my recent video, you'll sort of recognize this area, but I've got some more build ideas. For example, I created this wheat field, and then I just mixed in some of the new dry grass blocks, just to help add in more detail, and it's now grown up, and I actually really like the look of this field. I think it looks really good. Here's a sort of continuation of the flowers I was talking about, and I've now started mixing in wildflowers, as they're just such a good looking block. I really love building them. I've also got a farm for them literally in that building. I've also created a field from them here. And speaking of fields, I've actually created some fields for the new blocks. We've got a bush field right here, which I've simply just like placed on hydrated farmland. I think that's a really nice subtle detail, just to sort of break up from like the rest of the dirt looking areas. And I've done a similar thing here with firefly bushes, with the same trick I showcased earlier, with the firefly bushes being underground, so we get particles in the day as well. If you get to a stage in your hardcore world where you sort of don't really need mob farms anymore and you have automatic farms for everything, like you don't really need to farm pigs, for example, I still recommend building animal pens. Like I built this recently, just a pig pen. I'm never going to kill these pigs for pork chops or do anything with them. I think it's just a nice detail to use mobs just to help add more life to your Minecraft world. I did a similar thing over here with goats, with no goat casualties at all. Even if you watched the last video, I'm sure there'd be no goat casualties at all. I don't know why I'm even talking about goat casualties. Here's some more examples of animal pens. Like I've got a cow one here, and then there's a sheep one across here. There's a pig one somewhere down there as well. But it's just a nice way to help add in more life. I've done the sort of same thing with wolves as well. This is my wolf blue here. He just sits here guarding the sheep. It looks a bit like a sheepdog with my texture pack. But I just like adding life to my world with different mobs, like you'll see throughout my hardcore world as well. I've got bee nests and beehives everywhere. just so we get some bees flying around, as well as just the life it adds. It also just adds in loads more sounds, which is a really nice thing to hear across your Minecraft world. Like for example, I've got a stable build. I could have definitely left it empty, but I added loads of horses inside, including a skeleton horse, which I just remembered I had. Here's a simple chicken coop design you could do, where you simply just use trapdoors as fences, because chickens can't pathfind over these for some reason, which is quite a useful feature to take advantage of. And I guess you can get some eggs as well. Here's a sort of cool chicken house design. I just used like a railway into some trapdoors. It doesn't really do anything or anything, but it's just a nice bit of detail. And you could do this little trick, which is waterlogging like a slab, placing a bit of coral on top, just to create the look of a nest. I think that's cool. And I also add in soul sand quite a lot in like sort of dirty areas to just look like more of a muddy texture. And another thing I recommend doing is using the Never Root block, which is a really cool looking block, and it just works in as another sort of grass texture. Like it fits really well with these short grass textures. As just another sort of colour to add into your world. I think it looks really nice. And I've done a similar thing here with wheat, just to add sort of like an extra tall grass variant pretty much. And then you can add hay bales around as well. Especially in like a more busy farming area, like I've got market stands all the way along here, which I should definitely add more villages to at some point, but I really don't want to. Can you imagine like the stress of trying to put a villager in like a 1x3 area? Like I'd have to use mine carts. Yeah, it's just too stressful. I don't really want to do that at the minute. But what I want you to do is subscribe and like the video. And I really hope you did enjoy this video. This was just a video showcasing loads of different build ideas. But let me know if you learned a new building trick in this video, and make sure to subscribe for more.